Hey,
Hi,
everybody.
everybody. I know we said we would see you next week, and it's been about 6 months.
Well, we're
Fuck, feel
back, and
like
you'll
forever.
notice that things are a little bit different. We decided to be virtual. So now you get to see Chloe's house and my butt plugs. They're not mine, but you know.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's so funny. I'm pretty sure we talked about your butt plugs in our very first episode too, because you said
Yeah, now they
something
get to
about
see them.
like, I got butt plugs over here, and I was like, and she does. I'm looking at them right now. Oh my gosh.
If
Okay,
you can
well,
pull that episode up, you totally should.
yes. I'm personally feeling super over, like, I'm very happy to be doing this right now, but also there's so much going on that we need to talk about. And the first thing I feel like we should address is the murder of
Renee, good.
Renee Nicole Good. Yeah, sorry. I just hit my bong right before we started. But um absolutely horrible. Our I literally can't even say anything, but like we are in a living under a fascist regime, and there are Nazis in our streets kidnapping our neighbors and killing people, and they shot her in the face the other day in our city.
Miles from our house. Like literally in between you and me, Chloe.
Yeah, like that this is our community. I mean, I'm
This
heartbroken.
happened
And this
4 days
just
ago.
happened, yeah, like days, not even, wasn't it? It was
It was Monday.
2 days ago. No, it happened on
Oh, was it
Wednesday.
Tuesday?
It was Wednesday, because on Monday was my first day back at work, and I was like, super productive day. I was like, this is great. Tuesday was when my friend called me that ICE was raiding her neighborhood, and she was panicking, and I was like helping her or whatever, and that's when I started figuring out all this shit. And I like had to figure out about the tip lines and stuff. And then so I was like getting worked up about that. And then on Wednesday morning was when Renee was murdered. And then now it's Friday as we're recording this. So it's
Okay,
literally
yeah, that
been
does track. It's been
like
a very
2 days.
blur of the last few days.
Absolute. I personally have been unable to function.
I can feel that. I'm very much I feel like I'm a mess in so many different ways. Obviously, I'm a mom. She's a mom. I'm in my 30s, she's in my 30s. It could have been me. It could have been you. It could have been somebody
Literally
like
anybody, any of our neighbors or our friends or our family.
I fear
So
for my kids' lives. I'm scared about they're raiding schools. I'm scared about schools. There was a rumor going around today that my school
yeah.
district was being raided, and it was false. It was a false rumor, thank God. But they had to come out and
But they are going to schools. I mean,
yes,
they were at Roosevelt High School. I've taken community education classes there. Yeah, like this is I don't know. So that, yeah, as you can tell, probably just by listening to us like this, it's really hard to think about anything else. So we're like actively processing that. So I feel like that's necessary for us to state before we start this episode, because that is gonna at least I was gonna affect how we are thinking and talking about things, because a major fucking world event is actively happening. So just for the context of our episode, and to say fuck ICE, get the fuck out of Minneapolis, fuck you, rest in peace, Renee. She should still be alive.
plain and simple.
And
I
anything
will
else?
keep checking my watch because I have a platform of 500,000 followers, and half of them are mega Republican conservatives. I don't want to get into how that happened because I really have no idea. I've asked my therapist over the years, like, what the fuck how is this even happening? And I posted a video earlier stating my beliefs, and now I'm literally looking at my watch to see if there's anybody at my back door because I'm that fucking scared. So normally would have my dog locked up, but because we're on a separate level and she gets locked up when we're not, because she's a puppy and she's a big puppy, so she'll chew up everything. But I'm like, I'll fucking allow it. You can chew up anything you want as long as you're there to attack somebody that comes through my house. Like, I'm
Oh yeah.
absolutely terrified.
Yeah, no, it's like shit is crazy. I mean, my neighbors are being kidnapped. Like I'm it's they are everywhere. Like, I don't even know. It's honestly, this is what I mean. It's so hard to even think or talk about anything else. It's fucked. And we're both actively doing our
Doing what we
best
can.
doing our best to process and help and advocate. But this is fucked.
We
Yeah.
were going to record last Monday. I, however, got T-boned.
Oh, yeah. That also is an important thing to talk about.
Minutes before we were supposed to meet.
I pulled into her driveway and she's like, Chloe, I just had an accident.
I need you to come get me.
Yes.
So she pulls up and comes in and gets me out of there because I had to pee really bad for like 67 minutes. Oh my God, I just said 6-7.
I don't know what that means, man. I know it's a thing, but
it's a kid thing. Anyways, my car is fucked and I will be out of car for 3 months while they're fixing it because there was $17,000 in damage. And that's only what they can see on the outside.
Oh my God. Yeah, it was a really snowy, blizzardy night.
You shouldn't have even been driving around in your bug that day. You had no business on the streets.
Idea that it was bad roads. I literally just told Jackie this. I was like, I had no idea it was bad roads until I got in my car and then I was on my way and I was cursing myself on the way there. I'm like, this was like the worst possible scenario. And then you get in a fucking car accident. So clearly the universe did not want us to record that night for whatever reason. They wanted us
to make our comeback tonight, 2 days after the death of Renee, to bring some light and bring some awareness to the world right now. So if you're listening and you aren't on the side of thinking that this is fucking terrible, I hope for a moment you can sit here and listen to the compassion that we have in our voices for human life and how much we care about people and not tearing families apart, not shooting civilians. This is also triggering because we had a similar situation happen back in 2020 that none of us have fully recovered from anyways when George Floyd died.
Things are going to get bad. Like, fuck this. I don't know.
Okay, tell us your thing. I'm
this, you know about this already, Courtney, but I wanted to give a shout out to our listener, Alexandra in San Francisco, who left us our first review on Apple Podcasts that we didn't ask for directly from somebody because we had one other review on there, which is such a good review and it's so sweet, but it is from my dear friend Jilly. Hey, Jilly, love you so much. I don't think she's ever listened again after that, but she did. She listened to a full episode, thought it was funny, laughed at us, and left us a 5-star review. So it is genuine, but she just doesn't watch the show. So that's okay. But this review from Alexandra was unsolicited and it's super nice and sweet. So I wanted to read it and give her a shout out. So she said, "Please keep going. I'm rewatching 6 Feet Under 25 years after the first time with my husband who's never seen it. Despite some dated elements, fashion, technology, social attitudes, it really holds up. I was delighted to just find your podcast as we finish season 2, episode 4, but it looks like you might have stopped there. You have a fan here who appreciates your parsing of the psychology of the characters, your humor, and pro-female and sex-positive stances. Best thing we've ever heard, I think. So yeah, thank you so much."
And we were already planning on a comeback before we read that. And then we read that and we're like, oh my God.
Yes.
They want more.
Yes. I wanted to say that was another thing. That and one other thing I wanted to say, but you just made me think of that, though. We never really explained why we went so long without recording, which there's no real big reason. But it was basically summertime and shit gets so much busier in the summer. And we just couldn't really keep up, and we just kind of were like, we'll pick it back up in the fall, and then fall turned into winter, and this is where we're at. And which makes sense because winter, things are slower, it's freezing, you don't really you're not doing yard projects, you're not bringing your kids to soccer practice, you know what I mean?
Just no family vacations, there's no cabins, it's nice outside, we got to be outside kind of a thing.
Exactly, yeah. And this is, like, actually super fucking time consuming, even just watching the episodes and doing this and then editing, like, it's a whole thing. So we're just gonna do our best, but we're back now, and yeah, the only other one thing that has nothing to do with this episode that I wanted to say, which it'll probably come up later, but maybe not because the character I'm talking about doesn't come in, but I also wanted to throw in that in between that last episode and this one, John Wayne Gacy docudrama came out on Hulu that I watched. It was like this fall, I think. And it was super good. It was super sad. But the reason I bring it up is because an actor from 6 Feet Under named, I don't know how to pronounce her name correctly. I always say in my head, Sprague Graydon, but I have no idea. I think her name is super, like when I look at it in print, like Sprague, Sprague. I think that's a really pretty name and it's so unique. I've never heard it before. But anyway, she plays Anita, Claire's girlfriend, not dating girlfriend, but just friend that is a girl in her friend group later on in high school and early college, I think, if I remember correctly. And then I remember I didn't super love her character, but she's a good actress. And she played the mom of one of the victims of John Wayne Gacy in this docudrama. And she was really, really good in it. And the coolest thing about this is she follows us on Instagram, the real actress. Yeah.
Okay, that's
She was
pretty
like,
cool.
I know, right? I wanted to save that little tidbit for the end, but she was one of the first when we first started our Instagram, when we first started the podcast, and I followed all of the people I could find that were connected to the show, and she followed us back, which I thought was super cool. And yeah, so shout out Sprague, and I'm so fucking sorry if I'm pronouncing your name wrong. I should have looked it up. I'm a dumb bitch, but we love you.
And maybe you can correct us if we're wrong.
Yeah, please do. Hell yeah. Okay, should we get into it?
Yes, I think you start us off.
I need to take a deep breath. Okay. Today, we're diving into 6 Feet Under Season 2, Episode 5, The Invisible Woman. This episode opens with one of the most haunting deaths in the series so far, as Emily Previn dies alone in her apartment and isn't discovered for days. As the Fishers try to piece together her life, the episode becomes a meditation on loneliness, invisibility, and what it means to be remembered. Ruth takes Emily's story deeply to heart, confronting her own fears of being forgotten. David continues his new romance with Ben while dealing with emotional whiplash from Keith. Claire's friendship with Parker implodes in spectacular fashion, and Brenda, deep in writer's block, finds unexpected companionship in Melissa, a sex worker who challenges her assumptions in all the best ways. This one's got SAT scandals, emotional intimacy, or lack thereof, and maybe the weirdest three-way ever depicted on HBO. Oh, I'm reading this so stupid right now because I'm so fucking stoned.
Speed it up as we edit it. We'll speed this part up.
Jesus. Okay. Oh, and a surprise proposal we definitely didn't see coming. Let's get into it.
Bravo. We begin this episode of 6 Feet Under with a death that slips in unnoticed. No fanfare, no final words, just a quiet vanishing. Emily Previn arrives home to an evening of small comforts, a TV dinner, a crossword, the soft hum of solitude. There's no chaos, no conflict, just a woman going about her evening, one small ordinary task at a time. Then something shifts. A sudden choke, a drop glass, a silent collapse on the way to the sink. It happens fast. And then nothing. Time passes. Days blur together. The only thing to mark her absence is a smell that I totally could smell through the TV. Sharp, sour, impossible to ignore. It's not until a neighbor complains that anyone even realizes that she's gone. This death isn't dramatic, isn't cinematic, but that's exactly what makes it so unsettling. Emily didn't die in a moment of recklessness or violence. She simply ceased to be, and no one noticed until her body started to rot. It's a bleak reflection of the way some people fade from the world. Not with a bang, but with silence. And it reminds us that loneliness can be just as brutal as anything else that kills. Wow.
We're a little rusty.
Okay, so one of my worst fears I have a note that says to tell the story about when Willow was a baby and the chair method, along with the choking tool on the fridge. Okay, before I do that, my second note, because I had to rewatch the video. We made all of these notes in June, and we rewatched it again recently to respark whatever was going on, and I added in some extra notes. Do you know how pleased she was to fill in that crossword? The look on her face was just simply satisfied. I was like, you get him, girl. And then she died. But this is one of my worst fears, choking. I had my first baby, and we used to have these squeezer things. They were like applesauce squeezers. And somehow my 1-year-old put the cap in my water bottle. Like it was like a Sprite bottle. So it was like not super see-through, but somewhat. And so I was drinking it really fast and it got lodged in my throat. And I was fucking choking by myself with a baby at home. So I went to a chair, and here, I'll show you what I did. So you use the back of a chair and you literally hoist it into your stomach to do the Heimlich on yourself. And it came out. But my face, I was like freaking the fuck out. It was so scary. And then also now we have a tool. I don't think I have a link for it, but maybe I'll look on and see if it's on Amazon or something, but it's a choking thing, and it allows you to suction the mouth and push and pull. But when you push, it doesn't blow it back. It's like mechanically designed to release the air when you push down. But then when you pull up, it suctions out whatever was lodged in your throat. There's 2 sizes, one for an adult and one for a child. And we have 2 of them now on top of our fridge in case of emergencies.
Sounds like a good tool to have. I wish we could get one for Emily Previn, but
it would have been really helpful. If you're living alone, it's a very good tool to have.
For sure. Okay. Yeah, she loved that crossword. So the episode starts and Nate is at Brenda's in the bathroom taking his pills, and he still hasn't told Brenda yet about his AVM. And then we see them talking in the kitchen about how Brenda is going to write a book, and they're being snippy with each other. And Nate asks what happened to get to her getting Billy's friends to help her open an art gallery. And Brenda says she doesn't want to help other people express themselves. She wants to do it herself. So Nate tries to be supportive and assumes she's writing a memoir. And Brenda laughs and tells him no way, she's writing fiction. And Nate is again supportive and says he hopes that he will be in it. And she says he might be if he ever does anything interesting, which was kind of bitchy.
I kind of liked it.
Yeah. Well,
I think that's her way of flirting.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Nagging, kind of.
Yeah. So I was I think we have to stop and wonder why this scene is here. That very first scene of him sitting at the edge of the bathtub and then takes his pills and then scratches his head. I was just like thinking, is he in pain physically, mentally? Why do we need to know this? Why do we need to see this scene right here? Is he feeling invisible, like the episode title? Does he wish he was invisible? Is it that he wishes that he was invisible so he didn't have to deal with or tell anyone about his AVM? I was just pondering, but I was curious what your thoughts were. It was a short scene. Why is it there? They don't talk about it.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like we're really supposed to. I guess the only thing that I can really come up with right now in my head when I think about it is they're trying to show us that Nate is really in his head right now and freaking out, like starting to really get scared is how it makes me feel, I guess. But yeah, I don't know.
And topic of the book, which is the directly next scene that you brought up. I thought it was funny because I would have initially thought that she would write her memoir as well. But now that she says it's going to be fiction, I literally couldn't see it any other way. I was like, oh, duh. That's so right. Yeah. True. And then I made a second note saying, I just love the look on Nate's face when Brenda says she's writing fiction. And then he kisses her and says how proud of her he is. And it was like the sweetest, most endearing, and like he was truly proud.
This is why everyone hates Brenda. Like, I don't hate her, we don't hate her, but a lot of people do. And I feel like this, how she's behaving in that scene and basically for the rest of this season, I feel is why she gets a bad rap. Which
I wonder if she knows something's up with Nate. We'll have to keep that in the back of our minds. as a possible theme.
Right. I know. I feel like we're a little rusty now too because we only just rewatched this episode. I re-listened to our episodes, but I didn't go back and rewatch any of the other ones
The actual
besides
ones.
this one. Like of the actual TV show. So then we see Claire and Parker studying for the SATs in the library, and Parker is distracting Claire with her list of the male teacher's fuckability that she has been making since 6th grade, which I laughed at that when I was rewatching back. I'm like, that's some shit. That's some shit we would have done. And
6th grade.
in the
We
6th
probably had
grade.
the same one.
I can see Brittany. I gotta cut that. I can see her and
BG.
Christina, and yeah, and you probably.
Yeah, I probably came up with the idea.
Oh my God. Okay. Claire reminds Parker that she is 400 times smarter than her and asks why she isn't panicking about the SATs. And Parker tells her that her mom's life coach is advising her. So
I tried so hard the second time watching it around because we find out later that Parker didn't know that her mom was going to do this, what Parker's mom ends up doing. So I tried so hard to look at it in a different lens this second time around. So I guess I was curious if you thought possibly that she knew that this was going to be the plan the whole time, if she's just lying about things just to lie about them, because that would track for Parker.
yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. It's possible that she didn't know in that moment, but I don't think it really matters at the end of the day because I don't think it matters to Claire. Like, she did it. And so that's all Claire cares about, and she's not okay with it. But I think Parker does care about having Claire as a friend. I think that she was really hurt and was like actually upset that Claire was mad at her. And that's why she was deciding to say that, whether it was true or not, you know what I mean? Because she was like bargaining, like, come on, be my friend. She probably has a hard time. You know, they're both really fucked up in their own ways, but that's probably why they vibe so well, you know?
Oh, for sure. And I think Claire makes that point several times. I did note that I genuinely appreciated Parker there. I love that Claire is studying like crazy, but there's also something to be said about Parker's method of not freaking out for this test. Is it her masking? Maybe she's secretly genius, or maybe she just doesn't care. Either way, I appreciate her calmness. I wrote that the first time we watched it.
Oh, yeah.
And
oh my gosh. This is so weird
I-
because we've never done it like this before.
no, we haven't.
Because we're
And so the
reading
second
our
time, I didn't
notes.
have that feeling.
Yeah, we watched this twice with like 6 months apart. So this is a different. We're having like two sets of thoughts here. Then Gary approaches their table and says hello to Claire, and Parker comments on his great ass. Well, when he's walking away, Parker's like, he's got a great ass, or Gary has a great ass, and then she's like, yeah, I could fuck him, which it was super like slimy, but it was funny kind of too. And I think this is probably the first time that Claire is thinking about Gary in a sexual way. See, I wrote that back then, and now I wrote it, and I'm like, well, okay. No, I get what I was saying now. Like, I don't think she was thinking like, ooh, I want to fuck Gary, but I think that she was thinking about him in that way, period. Like, Parker was forcing her to,
He looked at his butt.
yeah, and process the thought that Parker was saying out loud. And Claire probably never did that on her own before because she doesn't see him that way.
Right. It's like if I say the word boobs right now, you're going to picture boobs in your head quickly. It probably just went like this and you just saw a set of boobs. And now I have a couple thoughts. Parker talking here is Probs lighting a tiny flame and Claire suggesting Gary is hot. I also say buns too because she said my mom calls them buns. And I'm like, girl, they are buns. I agree with you saying that it's that first time that sexual thought is coming in her head. And then it does come up later in this episode.
Yeah, that
Like
remember
the
do you remember in
conversation.
the other episodes, like before I had been saying Gary gets a little weird later, and you were like, really? You didn't remember,
Yeah.
but like he doesn't come off that way in the first few episodes at all. So
Mm-mm.
when he says what he says later on in this episode, it's kind of jarring.
It
I
feels
don't know, at least it was to
it
me.
feels out of like left field to me.
Yeah.
And I'm
out of
sure
character for
I'm
him.
with Claire. I'm with Claire. We can talk about it when it comes to that too.
She was like, I don't.
She's like,
okay. So then Nate and David are discussing the arrangements for Emily Previn. And we learn that she laid there for a week before anyone found her and she doesn't have anyone. And she filled out pre-need forms and everything has been taken care of. And we also learned that David had fun filling his out, which was a funny little scene there. Because Nate was like, can you imagine filling one of these out for yourself? And David's like, I had fun doing mine. So David. But then Emily chose the song I'm Telling You I'm Not Going from Dreamgirls. Of course, David knew that song for her service. So that's the song that she picked. And David has a cute little moment where he's explaining to Nate what the song is and he sings it. And it's kind of funny. It's showing that Emily Previn clearly had a sense of humor.
Yep. The more that we're talking about it too, it seems like some people are just totally fine being on their own.
Yeah. As we go through, we should really think about Emily Previn because, side note, do you remember our Reddit friend? Which shout out to you too. I still have a Reddit message on Reddit unopened from her from 6 months ago because I had it in my head that I was going to open it and respond once we did this episode, but it's been since June. I'm so sorry. But if you listen to this, shout out to you too. And I'm sorry we took so long.
Was that the one about this episode?
Yes.
Okay.
You said, I can't wait till you get to this episode. And then we stopped.
We stopped like that time. Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't mean
sorry.
to.
But this one's for you, girl.
Bad about it. Yeah, this one's dedicated to you and Alexandra.
I also wrote in my notes that I love that David was singing it. He's so good at singing. We know that. And then I put also, Chloe probably has notes on this song. But you don't. I'm so surprised.
No, but it's kind of obvious. Like, I'm not going. Like, she's just being like, I don't know, almost shit posty in a way. Like,
yeah.
I'm being silly at my funeral, which I love. I love that for her. And it's interesting because we don't know anything about her because she died alone and she lived alone and she has no family.
But we're going to get a lot of projection from another character. Ruth.
Oh, yeah.
Her own projections on this entire situation, and it absolutely infuriated me. But we will get to that, I guess.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay. Brenda's working on her book at her house, but appears to have writer's block. She has written or imagines that she has written, go ahead, write. What exactly do you have to say that hasn't been said before? All you do is observe yourself. You are incapable of anything real. And then closes her computer, which is, I think, a way of them showing that's what her thoughts are inside her head right now. But yeah, I totally, when I rewatched that just recently, I really identified with that. Not that I've been trying to sit and write a novel, but just trying to do anything and like having those thoughts of self-doubt is very relatable, I think. And that was a very relatable way that they displayed that for us, I thought.
I saw that as what some people would call writer's block for sure. But I felt like it was a little bit further. And I wanted to call it more of imposter syndrome with a dash of negative self-reflection. I think Brenda is so intelligent that this could be from a woman's stance and something that I'm projecting as well. But sometimes when we're trying to do something new, we feel like we're not worthy of doing it. We're not worthy of completing the task or what's the point because I'm not going to be able to do it well or whatever. And I just felt for her.
For sure. Agreed. So then Claire is talking to Gary about all the things she has going on with school, and he's giving her this look. He tells her it's nice to see her so involved, and they talk about how she's afraid of doing these things because Gary describes it. She is finally at a place where you are starting to come into your own. You're afraid that if people see the real you, it'll be scary. And guess what? It is scary for all of us, is what he said.
Okay, so Claire quote here. When I think about this test, I see this like nasty fluorescent light, the kind that shows all of your pockmarks and tiny scars that you wish you could hide. Fucking valid. Standardized testing at its finest. That was a Courtney quote.
Yeah, standardized testing is so not fun. Okay, so Ruth and David are talking in the kitchen, and Ruth is telling David he doesn't need to apologize for what he said about the plan. If you live in a neighborhood for a long time and somebody moves in and renovates the house across the street, that can make you feel your own house is shabby. And David says, I see. Did you just insult me? That was funny.
Yeah.
I love this show. It's so funny.
He's got a good sense of humor. And that's why I feel like he didn't actually apologize for what he said about the plan.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think he like meant it or anything.
No, he just knew he had to in order to so she wouldn't be so bitchy. So then Claire walks in for dinner, and David asks Ruth not to set a place for him because he's having coffee with someone he met at St. Stephen's. And Ruth says, "If you have a date, just say it." And David says, "Okay, I have a date." And Nate comes in and tells David he's having a problem with the Emily Previn funeral. And Nate explains that all the people in her contact list have died or moved, or he can't get a hold of them, and says he doesn't think she had anybody in her life. And Ruth is morbidly intrigued by this and starts listening intently. And David asks if he's called her work. We learn that she just worked for a temp agency, so she just had jobs here and there. And David tells him to try her high school and that everyone has friends from high school. And Claire butts in and says, "No, they don't. They're just filler." And then Ruth says she needs a glass of wine and walks. I fucking love that.
I was thinking, well, we're definitely lucky.
Yeah.
And definitely LOL to Ruth wanting a glass of wine. Go have a glass of wine, Ruth. Just go have a fucking glass. Go have 3, please.
Please do, yeah.
Just
that was
take
so
the cork
funny.
out and call it a day. She makes mountains out of molehills all the time.
Oh, 100%. That's Ruth, though.
Yeah. And I hate to, I don't want to discredit that because I think that whatever she's experiencing is totally normal or it's totally valid. And at the same time, it's also still annoying.
Yeah, it is. It definitely, I totally agree. It would be annoying. I also have a ton of compassion for her. Ugh. But okay, so Claire starts commenting to Nate, asking if he's okay because his eyes look weird, she says. Nate explains it's just his medication. And then I said, "Oh my God, David's lying about Emily being autistic." And Nate, "That's really upsetting." And then Claire's monologue is so good. "I don't see why this person has to be mentally ill just because she had a life that doesn't conform to some familiar image we have in our heads. Maybe she was living the life she wanted, a life without the hassle of other people." And then Ruth trips out, "What kind of a life is that?"
That tells me that Ruth is a conformist. She is one of those people that believes that this is the way things are done. That's the way that they should all be done. She doesn't think in a bigger aspect of fluidity. She thinks in a very logical, she's very rigid way. And while I am the complete opposite of that, and I think that's why it drives me nuts so bad.
Yeah.
Because it's like,
she's very, uptight. She's super uptight.
Yeah, I believe that's what rigid means, but I could be wrong.
Yeah.
Sometimes I throw words out there that don't make sense, but you just fill it in with whatever you think it's supposed to mean, and then we go from there. I also wanted to speak on the autism mention and her not needing that close connection with people, and David saying that Emily could be a high-functioning autistic person because he read it in an article once, and it's amazing. My thoughts are it's amazing how far we've come with mental health. I mean, we still have a long, long way to go, but nowadays people are actually getting proper diagnosis as an adult. And people are wondering, where 20 years ago, there wasn't all these autistic people walking around. Yeah, Craig, they were. They just were undiagnosed. We just learned more. Sorry if your name is Craig.
I saw a really dark meme about that the other day where it said what you said, when boomers will say there was no autism back in my day. And then it had a picture of like an insane asylum where they would just send kids that were autistic because that's what they would do. They would just send them away and lock them up. Like, no, you definitely did. I'm sure Ed Gein was autistic, but okay.
My husband is autistic, and he was also not diagnosed until he was 47. Yeah.
That tracks.
Damn. We've been together for 10 years. That's way too long. We got to end this. I'm just kidding.
A long time.
It is.
Okay. David is on a date with Ben, his new public defender beau. David lies immediately and tells Ben he left the family funeral home business and is now in textiles. And Ben starts to say he has a lot of work to do, and David automatically assumes that he's ending their date. But Ben is like, wait, I thought we were having a good time. And then they open up to each other about being really nervous and how Ben takes beta blockers. And he took a beta blocker before this date, which was super cute. And then they agree to go on another date. So positive moment for David.
Did not remember that Adam Scott was in this.
Yeah,
And gay
I know.
too. Like, I was
I
dying. This is
know.
amazing.
He does a really good
He's
job.
so
too. He's
good.
super
Do you
cute.
guys watch?
Yeah.
If you guys don't watch Severance, you absolutely need to watch Severance. It's an amazing show.
That's one
But
thing I did in the last 6 months.
you did watch it?
Yeah.
Are you
Yep.
all caught up?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll talk about that later then. I wanted to point out the communication about mental health here between, I'm sorry, two men in the early 2000s. That was a very refreshing scene to see. That's an emotionally, I'm getting all hot and sweaty just thinking about it. Emotional intelligence in a man.
Vulnerability. Very, very hot.
Just throw me in the bed.
Oh, okay. So then next we see Keith yelling at Taylor to get her ass into bed, and Taylor is telling him he sucks. You suck. And they go back and forth, and then Keith softens and asks her if she'd like to talk and acknowledges that she's probably scared because her mom has been up in Oakland for so long. And he says, we don't know how long you're going to be here, so why don't we both try easing up on each other a little bit? And Taylor tells him they have bad toothpaste, which was funny. And
yeah, was she implying something?
like what?
That he kissed her and his breath smells?
Oh, I thought she was just finding something to complain about. She probably had like little kid toothpaste or something. I don't know.
He
But
probably
just like
came in to kiss her
highlighting.
and
Well, but she's
his breath
staying there
probably stunk.
using all their stuff. I mean, maybe. But I feel like they're highlighting of course she's gonna be a little bitch because her mom is gone and she's staying at her fucking gay uncle's house. Not that that is bad, but like not her norm, which poor girl doesn't have a very healthy norm as it is to begin with, as it's becoming very obvious.
There's no females
It's
around.
so sad. Yeah, no one paying attention to her really, and her grandma is, I don't even really remember, there was something, a red flag in my head about the grandma, but I don't remember what it is. I think she's just doesn't,
Grandma yells a lot.
she was enabling the mom, like, she's fine, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, anyway. So Eddie tells him not to be so hard on himself and that Taylor is not easy. And then he tries to come on to Keith and kisses his neck. And Keith tells him he's not in the mood. And Eddie's like, fine.
Backing way up to the scene right before that, David literally says, he's a great guy. And then it immediately cuts to Keith. You get your spoiled little ass in that bed right now. And I just thought that was hilarious. But you can so tell that Keith is hurting too. And so is his niece. And I love that he takes a moment to just ground himself and try and regulate and help parent his niece instead of being the overreactor, the reactionary parent that just freaks the fuck out. My family did not do that growing up. They freaked the fuck out and they didn't self-regulate. They still don't. Also note the tension between Keith and Eddie.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, Keith definitely doesn't want to be abusive like his dad. I feel like that's his whole, so he's really catching himself, but he still easily blows his lid. So it's like scary. Okay, so Ruth has a dream that she's all alone and has nothing or no one and tries to wake herself up on the couch. And then she wakes up, but like this dream was so sad. She wakes up in their house, but everything's gone, like all the photos and everything. It's just like the empty house, like nothing in it except for her and like the furniture. And then so she's dreaming about like her life being like Emily Previn, basically. And she wakes herself up in the dream. And I said she's obviously bothered by Emily Previn dying alone.
Felt very sobered by it. I have those intrusive thoughts often. It's really becoming clear to me that Ruth has this narrative of what being alone means in her head. She's doing a lot of projecting that onto somebody else's life. And I think that's just kind of rude.
Yeah, I think that's a very fair and valid way to feel. And I do agree with that. I think there's, she has layers to her, but I do think that's a it's like a ignorance of hers in a way. I think she also feels like lonely. She's just lonely herself in her life, and she had like she's sad like that her family like she's trying to connect with people and her husband's sad and whatever, and then she's like, we're all just gonna like drift apart and I'm gonna be like Emily Previn, which it's not really fair. And Claire does a good job as being an advocate for her, I feel like, in this episode for Emily. She's like
when Ruth said that, it felt like a slam towards Emily. And I think that was really, really disgusting because I don't think Emily was actually as sad and lonely as Ruth seems to think that she was. And to imply that is, like you said, it's just ignorant.
Yeah, because we really have no evidence that she was sad or lonely.
No, if anything, we have more evidence that she enjoyed her life because, one, we saw her excitedly fill out that fucking crossword, and two, her funeral song. Like, who gets excited, besides David, to fill out their funeral thing and make it a fun thing?
I bet that's part of why our friend was excited for us to get to this episode, because you really can look at it like, okay, now just do a little exercise and think about if you didn't have your girls and Rob and you just, woke up and you just didn't have it. Like, obviously, of course, there would be good, benefits of having freedom and stuff, but you can understand, the sorrow and sadness of not having the love and connection of having a family. But it's also so valid to choose to not want that and to live a life like Emily Previn did. But it's just so interesting to think about. Like, there's no
right or wrong way.
No, yeah. Yeah. Wow.
I'm sure it'll come up again too.
Yeah. So Brenda is struggling to write again and calls Melissa, her prostitute client, and asks if she wants to have lunch. And Melissa says she's at a restaurant and she'd love the company.
Love that she called the sex worker.
They're really cute friends. Okay, so long thing here. Next, we see Rico in the prep room beginning to start the process on Emily's body. And Nate walks in and chokes on the smell because Emily had been laying there for so long, so she was not in good shape. Rico, this one's going to be one hell of a ride. Nate says he has no idea why he came in there. And Rico says, maybe you have Alzheimer's. Nate goes and looks at Emily's body laying on the table and says, we really are just biology, aren't we? Okay, so I love this scene and dialogue between Nate and Rico. Rico tells Nate he might need to talk the family out of an open casket, and Nate tells Rico she didn't have anyone. Rico then says, well, if she wanted an open casket, then we will try to give her one. That is so kind of him to do that, even though they could easily get away with not doing it. So I wanted to note that, like, if she didn't have anyone, no one's going to show up. But Rico's choosing to want to honor her wishes, which is very on brand for him. And then Nate says, maybe she was just some vicious asshole, just twisted and evil, and that's why she didn't have any people in her life. And Rico says, nah, you can tell what kind of life people lived, even when they're dead. Yeah, she was all right. So interesting. I wonder if other people with Rico's job feel this way. I thought it was very sweet, but also interesting to really think about it, especially considering all of the other things we know about Rico's character, both good and bad. So yeah, I wonder if that's true. I wonder if they just put that in there for dramatic effect, which is probably true, or I wonder if there's any other embalmers out there who feel that they can tell if a person was a good person or a bad person by.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it depends on the person. I believe in intuition for sure, and they know their job. And I don't think she was a bad person, though. I also think that I could smell the dead body. So thanks, Rico, for his superb acting on giving us the rundown of it. And I also want to give them some credit for taking her dying wishes of having this open casket to heart. I think they really, truly are doing all of the things that they can't. I think I'm going to gag. I can't get it out of my head.
Oh my God.
Okay,
yeah, it
let's
was a
move on.
lot. Claire is signing in to take the SATs, and a girl using Parker's name signs in next to her, which is when Claire realizes that Parker isn't actually going to take the SAT. She has someone else doing it for her. It was like a Middle Eastern girl.
Of course, Parker has someone taking her test for her. I was like, what the fuck?
Parker McKenna. Such a Cute name. I love it.
Yeah.
So Brenda and Melissa are at lunch, and Brenda's talking about Nate. And Brenda says she loves Nate, but feels separate from him recently. And that at some point he stopped being present with her. And maybe it's because she doesn't give him enough for him to be present for.
I was thinking that it was her intuition on Nate not being as present anymore with her because of his AVM that he hasn't told her about, or the fact that he's cheated on her. I actually forgot that happened until I just read this note. So
Yeah.
it's just been a while.
Just the last episode, I think the one right before this one was when that happened.
Oh, okay, yep.
Yeah.
So it would make sense for him to be distant and not so present with her because he's got a lot of shit he's thinking about. He literally just cheated on somebody that just proposed to him.
I don't think at this point Brenda has any clue that he cheated on her.
Oh, no, none at all. But she can tell something's up. And I'm wondering what it is, if it is the AVM, the cheating, or both.
Yeah. Okay. So
what's holding him back?
It's a pussy. No, I shouldn't say that because that's a lot to deal with. But like
it is.
Yeah. Okay. So Melissa shares with Brenda that she hasn't had a serious relationship in over a decade. And Brenda starts to ask, is that because you... And Melissa interjects, blow guys for money, which was funny. Melissa laughs, tells Brenda she's just not built for it, not unhealthy or healthy, just is. And Melissa is paged by a client, but ignores it, obviously signaling to us and Brenda that she wants to hang with Brenda instead of take this call. She says to Brenda that most women only want to be her friend so they can pump her for all the gory details about being a lady of the evening. And then they giggle, and Melissa tells Brenda, all right, you get 3 questions. And they laugh, and Brenda says, oh, goody. So I think their rapport is good, and they're getting along well, but I am questioning Brenda's intentions here.
I think she has 2 intentions. She wants goody info for her book, but I also think that she knew that Melissa would be a fun time. So I think she was trying to get her mind off of the book too, but also get her mind on the book. Like both of those things, I think she's trying to get out of it.
I think she genuinely likes Melissa as a friend, but I think she's definitely like, how can I use this?
Yes.
Yeah. So then Nate and David are going back and forth between 2 dresses to bury Emily Previn in because they can't bury her in the clothes she died in because of how badly decomposed she was. David tells Nate to bury her in the blue one because he's been dying to get rid of it because the back is shot. And Ruth yells, David! She's just like around every corner.
Literally.
She tells them to go to her house to get her clothes if that's what she wanted, and tells Nate she'll go with him. You don't have to do that. I know that. Super funny.
Be fair, the thought of Nate picking out clothes for this poor dead woman is quite scary.
Genuinely, can you imagine? Please, for the love of God, do not send a 30-something-year-old man to pick out my outfit to bury me in. If I can have one request at all.
I'll make sure that one's on there.
Thank you. Good God. Okay, so Brenda and Melissa are still chatting at the restaurant, and Brenda is asking her questions. Melissa tells Brenda about how she can tell a lot about looking in someone's eyes or something, and Brenda goes on to gush over her and tell her that she's fantastic. She's like, you're just fantastic. There's no bullshit with you. You are just who you are, period. Brenda touches on how Melissa provides a service for which she is well compensated, and Melissa says, please, if there were anything else people would pay me this much money for, I would do it in a heartbeat. And Brenda points out that she doesn't act like a victim and that it's almost empowering in a way, but Melissa is like, it's just a way to pay the bills, which was an interesting thing to note, I think, about their dynamic there at the end.
Yeah, I feel like Melissa's intuition is on point with men. She really just is who she is, period. I'm obsessed with her. I've been through some of these same thoughts and contemplations. No victimizing, feminist rationalization. She's doing a service and getting paid for it. And what do you think Brenda thinks about that? I don't think she fully gets it.
No, I was going to say, I think Melissa is way more down to earth than Brenda at this point. Like, Brenda wants it to be some kind of like fantasy type. She's just having a weird ego moment. I don't know. It honestly is kind of, I get why people are put off by her, by not necessarily by anything she's really done yet at this point, but just her it's just like a superiority complex.
Yeah. It wasn't her best moment.
And with this thing with Melissa, it's like she's just a girl living her life, getting her bag. She doesn't want to, like she's fetishizing her in a way.
Yes. Kind of without her consent too.
Yeah. Yeah.
It just feels kind of dirty, which is interesting to say in this whole situation. Anyways, food for thought. What do you guys think? Let us know in the comments.
For sure, please. Okay, so the property guy is letting Nate and Ruth into Emily's apartment, and Nate is giving the landlord a hard time for not attending her service because his kid has a soccer game, which I thought was super funny and super on par for Nate. He was like, she lived among you. And the guy was like, I've only worked here for a week or something. And Ruth is sad because she didn't get to finish her crossword puzzle. Emily had died while she was doing her crossword puzzle, and it was on the table, which was also just kind of sweet of Ruth. She's just really seeing Emily in this moment, and she's taking the time to see her.
She also had some weird thing in the fridge. I don't know if you noticed that, but it was like wheat thins.
Wheat thins, yeah.
Okay, I have to point out, it's actually not a bad idea. They taste so much better when they're cold. Just saying.
I'll move them in there right now. I wonder if that's a Midwest thing. Do other people just like, oh no, they were in LA, I guess, so it's not a weird thing. But I legitimately have wheat thins, I think, right now.
Go throw them in the fridge. Tell us what you think next week.
Okay. Okay, so then the property guy gives them 5 minutes to pick out an outfit. Keith is talking to his partner at work about Eddie, and his partner is agreeing with him that kids come first and asks him if he's tried to talk to Eddie about this stuff. So he tells Keith that he keeps everything bottled up and that creates cancer. Then a car screeches up and a couple are fighting and get out of the car screaming at each other. The man pulls a gun, the fight escalates, and Keith shoots the man when he turns as if he's going to point the gun at Keith and his partner. Of course,
now that would be a reason to shoot somebody.
Yeah, that's what I was just fucking thinking. Yeah, Jesus fucking Christ.
And look at how sincerely distraught Keith is and was.
Yeah, yeah.
Did he call him a fucking bitch?
Let's fucking critically analyze this little piece of media right here from 2001. Take a minute to fucking think about it. Like, goddamn.
I remember thinking about that because he did turn with the gun like this, like he was going to point it. I don't know that he actually did point it, but I think that would be grounds to pull a trigger.
Yeah, and he was agitated and high as fuck and was saying fuck
like who knew like, who knew what he was
waving a gun around. Like, yeah, that would be a reason.
He had it pointed at her, like, seriously, like it was pointed straight at her and then turned around.
Yeah, 100% valid. Keith there.
I'm actually glad we didn't watch that this week. Like, I'm glad I didn't see that after, because that would have been really, really shitty. But then we also see later how much this really affected Keith. Like, we'll see that.
Yeah. 100%. Ruth is having a hard time picking out an outfit for Emily and tells Nate not to rush her, which I loved. Ruth has a moment alone in Emily's room as she's picking out her shoes and jewelry, clearly having some kind of connection and sympathy for this woman. Nate picks up on this and tells Ruth maybe she liked solitude. Maybe she was living the life she wanted and was happy. And Ruth says, I hope so, but what if some night she wanted to talk to someone and she picked up the telephone and realized she didn't have anyone she could call? What then? Nate says, we don't know. She didn't have anyone to call. Maybe she did have someone. And Ruth says, I hope so, which I thought was really, like, just compassionate. She's just genuinely showing her. I do agree that, like, it's wrong to assume that Emily was unhappy, but it is projected.
It can be both. She can be truly sad for Emily and also be projecting something completely out of her own narrative in her own brain. Those both can be happening at the same time.
Yeah.
I did feel for her, Ruth. I did write down that it was pretty heart-wrenching to see Ruth that tore up. But girl, go get fucking therapy.
Seriously. Yes.
Ain't nobody got time for this shit.
Literally, woman. Not the fucking plan. Although, whatever. She needs to be doing something, I guess.
Yeah.
So at the shooting scene, the body is being wheeled into the coroner's van. Obviously, the guy died, and Keith's partner is assuring him that no one thinks that she did or that he did anything wrong. He was just doing his job, and Keith looks like he's in shock.
Oh my God, I'm reading my notes. Keith standing in the aftermath of his actions, the white cop saying, "Don't worry, no one thinks it was you." It was weird for me at the time because I feel like he did the right thing. I wrote this in June. I feel like he did the right thing, but are we supposed to feel otherwise? I'm also currently deep in the Karen Reed retrial, and I personally think that she was framed by the Boston police. So now I'm all fricked up from that. I don't know if you guys
Tell us
know.
what the Karen Reed trial is.
The Karen Reed was a trial of this woman who was dating a Boston police officer, and he ended up being murdered in the front. Well, nobody really knows where, but I believe that he was murdered inside a friend of theirs' house, and they tried to frame Karen, the girlfriend, for it. And she, at first, there was just a lot of drinking involved, but she wasn't there when he died. Like, she wasn't there at all. And it's a whole thing, but it's the Boston police are so good at covering things up because it was all Boston police officers that killed him. They killed the Boston police officer. I mean, it's so fucking crazy. And I just kept getting gaslit by these people that weren't even talking to me. It was so now I remember writing that down.
Very interesting. And there's a lot of parallels with what's going on today, too.
Yeah, Karen is actually now, so they had to retrial it twice because the jury couldn't come up with a conviction the first time. And so the second time, the jury gave her a not guilty verdict. And she is now obviously not getting charged for anything and is suing the motherfuckers for
her.
defamation and trying to get them on the trial because there's a murdered man and nobody to pay for it yet. So it's a whole spiel, a whole thing. I'm sure I'll rabbit hole as soon as that comes out.
For sure. Okay, so David is on his second date with Ben, and Ben didn't take his beta blockers this time. So Ben tries to kiss David, and David blurts out that he still works in the family business because on their first date, he lied. And he told him that the family business was a funeral home, but he said he got out of it and now he's in textiles. So he says he's still in the family business, and they're both being vulnerable with each other here intentionally because they both really like each other, and it's super sweet. Ben asked why he lied, and David tells him he's used to people thinking there's something wrong with him and that he liked him and was afraid it would repulse him. And he tells Ben that he really likes him. He's going to want to take things slow, and Ben obviously likes him too, and they make out.
Really liking David and Ben.
Same, they are super cute together. Okay, so Parker storms into Claire's house, pissed at her for blowing her off when they had plans to meet at the Tiki Tea. And Parker tells her she knows she's pissed at her about the SATs, but it wasn't her fault, and that this girl goes around and takes the test for people and has gotten people into Yale and Harvard, and her mom came into her room last night and told her she already paid the girl $1,000. And Claire tells her it's gross and she never wants to see her again and to get out of there. And Parker says, "Fine, fuck you, Claire. Also, I flirted with Gary for 45 minutes yesterday and he's a horny little freak and I'm gonna bag him big time." Which is, the way she talked was so fucking funny. I don't know. I'm gonna bag him big time. Like, get real, girl. But do you think that's true?
I love that's her comeback.
Yeah, like she's just you. I'm like, okay.
I don't know.
Do you think it's true though?
I don't know. I truly don't know, and I think that bothers me.
She slept with Rectangle Head. What's his Dennis? His name was Dennis.
Dennis. I honestly, I wrote this down. I don't know how to feel like if I was Claire either, but I'm more mad that Parker threw in her face the Gary thing versus Parker cheating on the test. Just throwing that out there. The cheating on the test part didn't really bother me as much.
Oh, yeah, same.
But what bothered me more was the Gary thing because there was a lot of implications there. And
I would never do this now, and I would not support this now, but I know at their age, I would not have given a fuck if someone was paying someone to take a test. Like, in that situation, I wouldn't have. Claire was way more violated by that than I might have been annoyed, like, come on, but I wouldn't have been like, I'm not going to be friends with you anymore.
Yeah, no, I don't think I would have either.
I feel like we were just fucks back. I mean, like, not bad, but we were rule breakers. I don't know.
For sure. I just can't see any of us actually doing something like that.
Yeah, I do agree with that too. So David is brushing his teeth, super excited about being newly smitten with Ben, when Keith knocks on his door and comes in to tell David that he killed someone. David is very compassionate and asks Keith if he wants to pray, and Keith grabs David and starts making out with him.
And did we talk about the holiday card?
No.
Okay.
I just said he was like smitten about Ben or whatever.
Oh, smitten that he was fantasizing about his and Adam Scott's future Christmas cards. And I've totally done that 1,000 times. Like, oh, Courtney. I used to have a crush on Aaron Carter. So it'd be Courtney Carter. And I would write Courtney Carter like all the time and all my Christmas cards.
Fun fact, this is so weird that I remember this even, but when Twitter, this was like 2011 or 12. I honestly think it was like 2011. Aaron Carter followed me on Twitter, but he was following everyone. He followed like 10,000 people, but I was one of them. So I tweeted at
10,000
him
is not a lot of people.
It was like kind of cool. Like it was actually
Do you
him,
still
but he
have a
was like,
Twitter?
no, I deleted it years ago. So Nate comes into the prep room and asks Rico if Emily is ready. Another great scene between Rico and Nate. Rico freaks out and explains that he stayed there all night, even though he was supposed to take the kids to dinner so Vanessa could have the night off. And the skin was pouring off her face. And he got all of this shit from Vanessa, and he couldn't even do this poor lady the way she wanted. And then he starts freaking out on Nate, like, here, you do it. And Nate is like, yo, it's fine. I just said okay. And Rico was like, I'm sorry. I just wish I could have done her the way that she wanted. And Nate tells him if it will make him feel any better, there won't even be any mourners. And Rico is like, thanks. Which so he really does, like, a big part of why he cares so much is because of his pride and his work, which is okay, but it's also gives us a little peek into his like motivations too. Like it's not all 100% for Emily. Part of it's his ego too.
True. Yes. I think a huge part of it is for his ego. I think that's a major portion of why. And I say that because he literally said he was swimming in her skin. Like you don't talk about somebody like that you truly care about, you know?
Yeah, he can be very vulgar, but like not necessarily in a mean way, but like it shows that he's not super emotionally attached.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I think Rico's autistic.
Or he's just an asshole.
We'll just go with that, actually. This scene.
Okay, so David wakes up in bed to a phone call from Keith. So this is right after they had just slept together. And so David's waking up thinking that Keith is still going to be there. Keith tells him on the phone that their encounter the night before was wrong, and he doesn't know why he went to him, but it was obviously a mistake. He's in a relationship. He thought they could be friends, but he was just kidding himself, and he doesn't think they should see each other anymore. And David is like, whatever you want. I think he's hurt and angry. Like, what the fuck? I was just there for you. Now you're gonna do this. But anyway, they say goodbye. But yeah, just I'm sure he felt so discarded. Like,
yeah, that was really uncomfortable. I feel like Keith is fucking this all up.
He lost points for me there.
Yeah, I don't think that was the right thing to do. I don't know.
That's the beauty of this show. We're all flawed, beautifully flawed.
He said, I think it was David that said this. Well, goodbye. That's the end of that.
Yeah. So Melissa
this is an exciting scene.
I don't even remember what it is, but okay. So Melissa's finishing up a session at Brenda's when she gets a call from, I remember, her watcher. So the watcher cancels and Brenda offers to be the watcher. And Melissa is kind of like, I don't know if you can handle it. And Brenda's like, psh, I can handle it. And Brenda kind of gives me the ick here, I said. Melissa made a comment about 3 ways. Like, I'm sure you've been in a 3-way situation before. I mean, who hasn't? And Brenda kind of looks at her and then she's like, fuck. So are we supposed to believe Brenda has never had a 3-way? Interesting and not what I would have expected. But honestly, now that I think about it, maybe not that surprising and kind of gives us some more insight to the vulnerable side of Brenda, or maybe the side that she hides from people or opposite of the persona she puts on for others to believe about her. You know what I mean?
Yep.
What do you think? Do you think she's had a three-way? Like, you would think that she would have by how she acts, but maybe she's not as
She definitely hasn't,
Brenda.
because she wouldn't have lied about it. She would have, I don't know. She would have
She
said
wouldn't
that
have
she
acted like
had.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My thoughts were like, of course Brenda would be the watcher. Fuck, I would totally do that. I also have to note that Melissa used the word invisible when describing what Brenda would be doing as the watcher, and the episode is called The Invisible Woman. I have thoughts about the irony and connection to all of these women feeling invisible when I think most might assume that Previn was supposed to be the only one in the episode that they were referencing.
Nice catch.
I know,
Very
what the fuck?
interesting.
This brain here, sometimes it works real good.
And you're reading it now 6 months later, not even remembering, like, damn.
No, because I didn't put that in my second round of notes, so I didn't even catch it the second round.
Yeah.
So it was a
Oh
lucky
my
catch.
God, funny. I love when we catch stuff like that, though. Like, that's really what makes this fun to talk about. Okay, so LOL at Claire whipping shit all over Gary's room. And Gary is being so supportive of it, which was hilarious. And Claire's pissed about Parker and bitching to Gary. But I love how she scoffs and rolls her eyes at Gary when he asks her, "What's this girl's name?" LOL, Claire ain't no snitch, is what I wrote. But that was funny because she was like, there's this girl who cheated on the SATs and had somebody else take the test for her. And Gary's like, what's this girl's name? And
Yeah,
Claire
like I'm not
goes,
going to tell anybody.
yeah, like rolled her eyes, like, which is just so clear, so perfect.
He's trying to get intel at the same time.
Like, fuck you, Gary. And then she outs her anyway, telling him he can fuck Parker if he wants, but to make sure he wears a condom. Okay, but this is a legit line. Claire, I'm worried about you. And she says, why? And he says, because I see you getting your life together and it scares you. So you want to slip into the old familiar habit of focusing on someone else's drama instead of concentrating on yourself. You need to stop doing that. And she says, you're right. Oh my God. And now is the moment that he says it. So he says, and now is probably about as good a time as any for us to talk about the sexual tension between us. And Claire is like, what? He says,
he's disgusted.
Yes, she is disgusted. Gary says it's a normal part of transference and countertransference. So we should just both acknowledge that it's out there. It will never be acted upon because to do so would be irresponsible and destructive.
I think he was trying to convince himself.
Of what? That she was into him?
When he said it will never, when he says it will never be acted upon because to do so would be irresponsible and destructive, that was his way of convincing himself, in my opinion.
Yeah. So I said, what are your thoughts on this? I've been dying to talk about it. Then Gary asks if she has anything to contribute, and she says, no, I don't. And he gets up and starts messing with the shit that she threw around. But yeah, I thought when I first watched this, okay, I will say this. I have been watching a lot of psychology YouTube lately. Just one person in particular, Dr. Kirk Honda. So I'll give him a shout out. He has like millions of followers. He will never see it, but if he ever does, I will be so excited. But he watches Love is Blind. I've told you about him, Courtney.
Yeah.
I've tried to get everyone to follow him, but he'll watch certain reality shows, Love is Blind being one of them. That's the one that I watch the most of, but he analyzes them through like a psychiatrist lens. Super good. Go check him out. But he talks sometimes about what Gary mentions here, transference and countertransference. And I will admit that I have never paid attention, or like he has like episodes about them and I've never fully like listened to a full episode about those topics. But I know that my point in bringing them up is that I know they're a thing. And I'm wondering, I don't know, but I'm wondering if like it's a thing that like, I'm just going to look it up. What does it mean?
It's when a client unconsciously redirects feelings and patterns from past significant relationships, like parents, onto their therapist, seeing them as that person. Countertransference is the therapist's emotional reaction to the client stemming from the therapist's own past experience, which can be a helpful tool for understanding the client but needs management to remain objective. So to dumb it down, I'm thinking it means when it's like projection. it's feelings that you've had from in his point of view, it's a sexual experience that she's projecting
Yeah.
onto him, and
Yeah, see, that still feels icky
it's
to me
his
kind of.
emotional reaction to that.
I don't know. I was thinking like maybe it's something like you can't really help or whatever, but I don't know. I still feel weird about it, and I think it's true because like he presented as it's just okay. Also, I feel like that's not how you address it, especially with a underage girl. Like you don't just say like that's to me uncomfortable for somebody who is in Claire's position to just have your male teachers say like, we should just address the sexual tension between us. Like that's inappropriate. I don't know. Like,
I'm so torn. I'm so torn because I completely get what you're saying, and
what if a
I
what
would
if
be
a
I would
Willa's teacher
feel
her?
I would feel so uncomfortable for sure. At the same time, I actually have a lot of respect for him because it's also unethical to have you have a client therapist relationship, so it would have been unethical for him if he was experiencing this to let it go on any further. So it had to be there if this was happening, but which it clearly was for him because he admitted it. He had to put a kibosh to it somehow or stop seeing her. And maybe
Yeah.
just stopping to see her would have been a better option.
Yeah. Or maybe he's looking at it from the perspective of like he doesn't think that she will be okay if he does stop seeing her. So he's deciding to try to address
He's trying to make
this.
an ethical decision that is really controversial.
Yeah. I don't know what I truly think, but yeah.
I remember feeling like, okay, that was really bold of you to bring that up. But then I also have to remind myself that Claire's a child. She's not
Yeah.
25.
Right.
So yeah, you're right. It seemed like it could be also really predatory.
Yeah.
It is predatory.
I mean, I think I just yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I think it is. I don't know the rules like when it comes to any of
That
that, but yeah.
relationship.
Anyway, so okay, then moving on. David is laying in bed with a headache, apparently, and the phone rings and it's Ben, and he leaves a message to ask what time he can go out on Saturday. Oh, and I had a really good time last night, especially the making out part, he says, which was super cute. And David feels super guilty about Keith, and Keith just ditched him. Ugh, that sucks.
That was a
So
shitty
now,
situation.
yeah, David's in this position of just fucking went behind his new guy's back, and now he has nothing to even show for it. Oh, okay, sorry, it's me again. So Brenda is being the watcher, watching Melissa
Woo.
blow this dude and staring at Brenda. So the guy's like staring at Brenda, obviously, while he's getting the BJ. I said, LOL, ew. Then we see, sorry, that's kind of kink shamey. I don't mean to do that, but this guy was like gross. Then we see Brenda walk in the door to her house, shut the door behind her, and sigh like she is processing or something, but also seemed like she was happy in a way.
It was such a weird reaction. But I think that they depicted it so well because I think what was going on in Brenda's head was, ew, just as you just did, but then a quick, actually, no, that was kind of fun. And I can't believe how exhilarating and liberating it was, you know?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I actually think, yeah, that's probably exactly what she was thinking. Eek. Okay, so at Emily Previn's service, the organ player is playing her song, and I'm telling you, I'm not going. Nate breaks into a dream scenario, imagining he is a rock star singing the song with a bunch of groupies. Super weird. Ruth walks up to him, tells him she's there for the service, and Nate's confused and tells her he couldn't even get a minister to come do the service. And Ruth is like, I've taken care of it. Father Jack is on his way. Just give me 10 minutes. And Nate's like, for what? And she walks away. And you said,
We
oh
see
my
Father
God,
Jack.
Father Jack.
I was so excited to
um,
see him again.
yes. And this was a part that our friend that was messaging us on Reddit wanted us to talk about was later on when Father Jack has his moment.
Oh, yeah.
But Then we see Rico in the prep room, and Ruth walks in as he is working on a body and is like, Federico, can you come upstairs, please? And he totally rolls his eyes like after she walks out. But then she goes to David. He thinks it's Keith, but nope, it's Ruth. And she says, David, I need you for a few minutes. He has a headache, and she says, too bad.
You're saying, and then she finds Claire, and Claire's in the middle of a show.
Oh, okay. And Ruth tells her to do as she says and get out of those ragamuffin clothes. And they're all gathered for Emily's service, mumbling, talking shit about Ruth and using building metaphors to mock her, like joking about her plan shit. Funny moment when David comments that she was supposed to have an open casket because he didn't know that.
Isn't she supposed to have
Rico had his whole meltdown or everything, so he says that. And Rico
and the look on Rico's face.
Happy. Yes. And Father Jack starts speaking. We gather to mourn the passing of Emily Previn. I did not know Emily Previn. From what I gather, few, if any, people did. People might wonder what point there is in leading a life where you don't touch any other lives. But it would be arrogant of us to assume that. Every life is a contribution. We just may not see how. I'm glad to encounter Emily Previn, even if it is in death. Everyone comes into our life for a reason, and it is our responsibility to learn what they have to teach us. Oh my God, that's really profound.
That was such a good speech. I loved it would be arrogant to assume that her life didn't touch any other lives, because it touched mine. It touched mine to see somebody so unapologetically happy living their life alone and doing things as a badass woman all on their own.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Wow.
Next one.
That was such a good one. Okay, so Nate is talking to Claire after Emily's service about Emily, saying he feels like Emily won because she remained a question mark up until the bitter end. Rico gives David shit for not working because he has a headache. Then Father Jack approaches David to say hello. They hug, and Father Jack asks how everything is at St. Stephen's. Apropos of what I said earlier, I wanted to thank you, David. I'm really glad you came into my life. You will never know how much you taught me about myself. And then I said, oh my God, so Father Jack is gay. Is that what he's saying?
Oh, for sure. He's definitely coming out. And doesn't he say even like, David's like, oh, what do you mean by that? And he's like, another time.
Yes.
So do we ever find out?
I don't know. I don't remember. I can't remember. But notice how you said, first time you said, I wonder if Father Jack is coming out. And this time you said, Father Jack is gay.
Yep. I was definitely more matter-of-factly the second time.
Ruth calls David over so she can talk to him, Nate, and Claire makes fun of her again. And Ruth kind of bitches at them all and is like, did any of you even care why I wanted to do the plan? And she goes on to say,
I can't believe we're still talking about that fucking plan.
I know. At first, I didn't understand why I was so upset about Emily Previn, and then it hit me. I don't want to turn into her. Life is hard enough without having people to help you through it. And Nate is like, Mom, you have us. And she's like, I do not. And points out how they've all been so disconnected. All I want is for us to not be strangers. I want some intimacy. Give me intimacy. Won't any of you have intimacy with me? And they all stare at her like just she's like crazy. I did that one pretty good, huh? They all look at her like she's crazy, and she walks away like, okay, I guess I have my answer. Nate is like, wait, I just think it should be more organic. And she's like, okay, I'll just wait for it like I have been. I just hope it happens before I end up like Emily Previn. Which... she doesn't need to be saying that shit about Emily Previn. She doesn't need to be using her as like a scapegoat, but in her head, I guess I get whatever. But I get what she's saying. Like she wants some connection.
She doesn't know how to ask for it very well.
No.
The first round of watching this, my notes said, okay, Ruth didn't know why she was so upset about Emily. I feel like it was pretty obvious from the get-go, but whatever. And then the second time, I totally do. I agree with you. I feel for her yearning for this intimacy. but you can't ask for it like that. Like,
Yeah.
it's so rigid. She's so rigid with how she communicates. Sometimes it's the kids probably just, they know her. So they just are chuckling like, oh my God, come on. Enough
Yeah.
of that.
Brenda and Nate are getting ready for bed, and Nate tells her she had the strangest expression on her face when she was writing earlier. She's like, it's called flow. Then he asks her if she thinks they have as much intimacy as she wants. I love that he is asking her this, and also obviously he is reflecting on it himself and realizing how distant they are becoming from each other. Brenda kind of evades the question and is like, I don't have as much of anything as I want. And he's like, that's not much of an answer. And she tells him that really wasn't much of a question, which I said I disagree.
I felt like that was really dismissive to Nate. Yeah.
But yeah, he
I
asked
agree
her,
with your next.
do we have as much
He asked her a
intimacy?
question and she answered with a question. That's dismissive. That's deflecting.
Yeah, and that was a good question. Like, that's a very deep, and no one's ever asked me that.
No,
It would
I was
be
going to say
nice.
no man has ever asked me that fucking question. I would have dropped my pants in a jiffy.
Yeah. Oh my God. So, okay, I said she's being so avoidant. She tries to change the subject, asking if he remembered to lock the door. He tells her yes for the second time and that she has been acting really strange tonight, all jumpy. Okay, then she freaking proposes to him. What the fuck, Brenda? He asks why tonight, and she's like, I just started thinking I don't know what I'd ever do if I ever lost you. Well, I'm not going anywhere. Promise. Then he's like, oh my God, of course I'll marry you. I love you, of course, because he doesn't want to face the conversation about his AVM with her, so marriage will solve it, right?
That's a good point. I also wonder if that's really what Brenda was getting at, because it just seemed odd. And I don't think.
I don't think so. I think she's trying to do crazy shit so she can like write about it or something.
Yeah. I mean, I thought that about the other things, but this could also be part of that. I also wonder if she didn't want to tell Nate about what happened today. So she was just like jumping to the next thing.
And they both have secrets now from each other.
Yep.
His are way worse, though. Well, yeah. I mean, they
Yeah,
are.
I think
but-
on the severity level, his kind of top it. Yeah.
Ruth is making tea in the kitchen and goes over and runs her hand across all the kids' pictures she has framed from when they were growing up. Okay, but those pictures were so cute.
Yeah, they were.
Ruth starts sobbing. She's having a moment. Poor Ruth. She loves them so much, and she feels so lonely without Nathaniel. And after Emily's funeral, oh my God. So I was just feeling really bad for her in that scene because she's just a sad, sad girl.
And feeling that loneliness. Okay, well, I had a different take. I said Ruth is driving me a little nuts here, and maybe I'm just overreacting. She is sulking in this thought of ending up like Emily, but it's not even close. I truly want to validate her feelings, but I think she might need the help from a professional. I'm also reminding myself that she still has lost her husband far too soon, and maybe she hasn't grieved enough of that yet. I don't think there really is enough, that you can't grieve enough. Like that, those words that I said, I'm almost like, that isn't how it works. You don't just grieve enough.
But I
and
get
then
what you
you're
meant.
Cured. Yeah. I do too. I'm just scolding myself for the choice of words that I had. But I was really, this was the first time I went around, and I was really irritated because I'm like, you've got all of the things.
Yeah.
You need to stop projecting this stuff.
Right.
But
like,
whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. It's complicated. I do get, she is being kind of, there's got to be a good word to describe Ruth. Comment your best word to describe Ruth in one word.
Describe Ruth in one word.
Leave it.
Okay, now we're at mate, date, cremate.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So that's how the episode ended. So mate, date, cremate. I wrote down Brenda, Gary, and Parker. So you can go first.
What about Melissa?
I think we might have done her at the last episode.
Oh, you're probably right. Okay. Mate, date, cremate. Brenda, Gary, Parker. Okay, I'm going to mate Brenda, date Gary, and cremate Parker.
Okay. Why?
I'm going to mate Brenda because she's probably super fun in bed. Gary, I'm going to date because he's emotionally intelligent and I feel like we could at least have conversations. And cremate Parker because it's Parker.
Yeah,
I don't know.
That's a good one. Yeah, for sure. Okay. Well, I would do the same, but I'll think of a different reasoning for this one, or a different choice. So I'm going to mate Parker because I kind of have a little crush on her. And I am going to date. I would also date Gary, but I'll come up with a reason for dating Brenda. So I'll date Brenda because she is complicated, but I think we have the same, we all know, we have the same core values. And I appreciate her, and I have faith in her that she will get through this. How would you describe it? This time where she is making herself look bad.
Yeah. Her
And
lows.
yeah, she has a lot of growth ahead of her here from this point. And I'm gonna cremate Gary because he's a perv.
Sorry, Gary.
Okay, and now we need to do our blind ranking. Do you remember
No, we gotta
doing
do
this?
MVP.
Oh, you're
MVP.
right. You're right. Who's the MVP of this episode? Ooh. You know what? I would throw out Ruth because she really was an advocate for Emily.
I was
But
gonna say Bo.
who's Bo? Ben?
Adam Scott. Ben.
Oh, Ben. Yeah. Okay, why Ben?
I would say Ben because he was a really good voice of reason for David and was the most emotionally mature man on the entire episode, and was just authentic and just refreshing.
Yeah, I wouldn't argue with that. I agree with that too. Okay with Ben. We probably don't have a lot of other opportunities to award it to him. So Ben is the MVP, and with a honorable mention to Ruth for getting Emily's
By
cute
Chloe,
outfit
not by
together.
Courtney.
You
But
aren't happy that she went and cared about her clothes and shit.
yes, I am. I am happy. I also think everybody else, she did it for the wrong reasons, just like Rico.
That's one way yeah, you could look at it that way. Interesting. Comment below if you have any thoughts. 'Cause we've threw some interesting takes out there this time.
We sure did. I do
Okay.
remember the blind ranking. And
So a quick recap. We are blind ranking. We have 13 episodes in this season, and we are choosing where to rank the episode, but we can't change it after. And so far, we've given spot 3 to episode 3, The Plan, season 2, episode 3. And we've given spot 5 to episode 1, In the Game. Spot 6 is episode 2, Out Brief Candle. And spot 8 is episode 4, Driving Mr. Moss Back. So where would you put this one?
I don't know, man. I really enjoyed it. I will say that.
Me too.
It's hard to
I
say.
thought
I'd
it
say
had a
2
lot
or
of
4.
depth. Agreed.
It did have a lot of depth.
I was gonna say 2, but I'm like so scared because
Okay, let's do it.
All right, we're locking it in, but it didn't have a lot of it. I mean, the death was very just like quick and quiet, and so it doesn't have a lot of shock factor or anything. It's very like everything's super subtle in it, but it's so good and it's so deep and sad and complex. Like it's a fucking good one. So, all right, we've got season 2, episode 5. The Invisible Woman is locked in at spot 2 for season 2 blind ranking.
Love it.
Oh my
Well,
gosh.
until
I'm
next
so glad
time.
we are back in the game here, and we'll catch you when we catch
Next
you
week?
next. Well, actually, I'm gonna be out of the country next week, but I come back the following
The
week,
week
and then we
after.
can do it. Yeah, and since we can do this remotely now, and we've decided to try to do it this way, I'm sure we'll be able to, at least
Bang out more.
Well, let's set our goal to finish season 2 this, before this June. Like just an easy achievable goal.
I think we can do it.
We can go from there for sure. I do too. All right. See you next time. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to like and give us a 5-star rating and comment and
give us reviews. We love reading them. Literally love reading them.
Yeah, please give us a review. You saw how happy we were at that one.
Thanks so
Okay.
much, guys.